Hey, my lovely friends. Today we're learning some vocabulary with the legendary Bob Dylan. Did you know that he received a Nobel Prize in Literature? This is something that a good friend of mine, Dr. Hamid, brought to my attention. Anyways, let's do this.
You feel like an imposter.
He says you feel like an imposter, and this is the first word of the lesson. An imposter is a person who pretends to be someone else, usually to gain some sort of advantage. So let's find out why he felt like an imposter.
When someone thinks you're something and you're not.
What was the image that people had of you, and what was the reality?
The image of me was certainly not a songwriter or a singer. It was more like some kind of a threat to society in some kind of way.
What was the toughest part for you personally?
It was like being in an Edgar Allan Poe story.
He said it was like being in an Edgar Allan Poe story. I think you are familiar with the renowned American author, Edgar Allan Poe.
And you're just not that person everybody thinks you are, although they call you that all the time. You're the prophet, you're the savior. I never wanted to be a prophet or savior. Elvis, maybe. Well, I could easily see myself becoming him, but prophet, no.
I know that, and I accept, you don't see yourself as the voice of that generation. But some of your songs did stop people cold, and they saw them as anthems, and
they saw your songs as anthems. So a national anthem is arguably the most important song that represents a country. We pronounce this one anthem. And this is how people viewed his songs, carrying extremely important messages, usually political ones.
They saw them as protest songs. It was important in their lives. It sparked a movement.
If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing.
I mean, you may not have seen it that way, but that's the way it was for them. How do you reconcile those two things?
How do you reconcile those two things? Reconcile is a great verb to learn. It means to bring two contrasting or apparently contrasting ideas together. So for instance, if someone said, I don't believe in God, but I pray, then you could ask this question, wait, there is that contrast. How do you reconcile those two things?
My stuff were songs, they weren't sermons.
His songs were not sermons. A sermon is a talk which is given usually on the topic of religion during a church service. So he says, my songs weren't sermons.
If you examine the songs, I don't believe you're going to find anything in there that says that I'm a spokesman for anybody or anything, really.
But they saw it.
Yeah, but they must not have heard the songs.
It's ironic, that the way that people viewed you was just the polar opposite of the way you viewed yourself.
Isn't that something?
Dylan did almost anything to shatter the lofty image many people had of him.
Okay, a couple good words there. One is shatter, to completely destroy. The next important word is lofty, which means of higher position, an elevated position. So you could describe a goal using the word lofty. This is a very difficult thing to reach. We tend to use this in a negative way. He did everything in his power to completely destroy that image, the image of a spokesman for a generation.
He writes that he intentionally made bad records, once poured whiskey over his head in public, and as a stunt, he went to Israel and made a point of having his picture taken at the Wailing Wall wearing a skull cap.
When you went to Israel, you wrote that the newspapers changed me overnight into a Zionist, and this helped a little. How did it help?
Look, if the common perception of me out there in the public,
the common perception, the way that people view you. So the common perception is a collocation. These words typically go together.
I said I was either a drunk or I was a sicko or a Zionist or a Buddhist or a Catholic or a Mormon. All of this was better than Archbishop Anarchy.
The spokesman for the generation.
Yeah.
Opposed to everything.
Mm-hmm.
He was especially opposed to the media, which he says was always trying to pin him down.
The media was always trying to pin him down, to pigeonhole him, or to force him to act a certain way or to adopt a certain viewpoint. Anyways, he went to great lengths to change that image. The full interview is on YouTube. I hope you've learned a word or two with my video lesson as well.